So. So now the recording button is working. I need the recordings, you know, to organize the playthroughs at a later date, so I can re-upload them on YouTube and stuff. And here we go. Thanks VonRep for joining us. So this is our endless list of saves. We've pretty much made saves at every delusion trigger. And we have left off in chapter 5. Just barely begun chapter 5. And this is the beginning. Naturally, the group diving video became a huge topic of conversation after it started streaming online. As Grim had told me, the internet was going bonkers about it. Many at 8chan were convinced that all 4 new-gen homicides had been committed by the same murderer. Yeah, it's we're almost on the, you could say, save limit. Give me a second, I have to... adjust the chat. So again, the chat widget has its issues, which means we will not see our beautiful Fez in the background. We'll just have a blank screen for chat messages. Many at 8chan were convinced that all 4 new-gen homicides had been committed by the same murderer. Oh, we have a threat here to read. Meeser, Connecticut. Whose eyes? Are those eyes? Is the new-gen criminal's signature. Name, school dropout, Shizuoka. The guy who put it on YouTube has to be the perpetrator. Awesome stuff. Whose eyes are, etc. Night Guard, Hyogo. Alrighty, I'll report it to... Oh, whose eyes are... White Collar, Oregon. The message of vampire was... Whose eyes are, etc. That makes a connection between the first and last new-gen cases. Even though everyone used to say they weren't related, so we can add in the pregnant man and the staking too. Crap. Getting way too excited about this. Grassland baseball player Ibaraki. Whose eyes are those eyes? Plus, whose eyes, etc. first showed up in Vampire House. Or whoever did it, it couldn't have been imitating the group diving. Don't look this way, lol. Whose eyes? I saw the vid, but doesn't it seem kind of fake? I bet 1 cent that some acting troupe did it to get press. Pilot, don't overuse the hose eyes phrase, or whatever, you twerps. All it'll do is make the perpetrator get even more into it. So we're basically sure it's all the same guy. It's the same guy now, no? Plastic surgeon. Those eyes are those eyes. Like, it's actually just 2 meters tall, and they had a landing mat spread out right below it. Ruffle. Psychometer. Kamchatka Peninsula. Agreed. More people are gonna get killed while you guys keep using those words. Get a hold of yourselves. It's not that funny anymore. whose eyes are, etc. I live in Shibuya. Don't look this way, says film festival participant. The office lady. The mutape video. It's racked up the top number of views. Well, don't look my way. Here it is, the top story of MHK News. No declaration of responsibility from whose eyes, etc. yet. Special programs on all the commercial stations, except for Tokyo TV. The TV reports were getting overheated as well. Like 140 had mentioned, all the big channels except Tokyo TV were broadcasting special programs, and they aired the aforementioned video over and over. The special programming itself ended in about an hour, but it was a minor shock for the country when that video got broadcast nationwide. Although all of the stations voluntarily censored themselves, cutting off the last scene where the actual jumping took place, it still had an astonishingly powerful impact. The drift of the debate the drift of the debate on TV was by and large the same as online, and people seemed to have all but decided that the four new gen cases had been committed by the same criminal, which was naturally enough. They'd already discovered common ground between two of the new gen incidents. Whose eyes are those eyes? The phrase currently going around Shibuya. It had originally made its public via the fourth new gen case, Vampire House. Despite that, one of the victims from the group diving, which took place over a month earlier, had let the same words slip. At present, those words were known to have been used in the first and last of the four new gen incidents. What that pointed to was, as everyone thought, the possibility of that the four incidents had been triggered by the same perpetrator. The police had an emergency press conference where they announced their response by stating that they would move to identify the uploader with all possible speed. Some politicians were also saying things like how greatly regrettable the criminal must be apprehended as soon as possible. The YouTube video was deleted by the site less than 3 hours after it got uploaded, but by then it was too late. Ad channels had long since finished capturing the video and spreading it around, uploading it there and here and there and everywhere. No one could stop them. Sounds like just like 4chan. 4chan would do the same. And late at night, the following fact was revealed via a police announcement. The video of the group diving incident had been uploaded from the PC in room 37 of a certain manga cafe, which was located in the Shibuya area. It was like right next to his favorite PC. Seated at my desk, I slumped over and hugged myself. Without my realizing it, I had started eavesdropping. Today I was oversensitive to the voices of those around me. I listened to all kinds of conversations, but no big surprise here. Everyone was talking about the group dive video from yesterday. There were also girls jokingly saying, "Whose eyes are those eyes?" to each other. I bit my lip and studied the surface of my disk. That video was proof. Which kind of proof is he talking about? Proof that Shogun existed. Proof that I hadn't killed anyone. Which meant I didn't have multiple personalities. The old man in the wheelchair was the new gen perpetrator. But for what reason could Shogun have deliberately uploaded that video? Why would he himself do something to hint at his identity when the criminal had previously been swathed in mystery? When I pondered this, I came up with two conclusions. The first one was that Shogun was the attention-seeking type of criminal. The chances of this seemed pretty high, given how he had gone out of his way to show himself to me. As for the other possibility, he was challenging me. For reasons unknown, Shogun, along with his underling Yua, were meddling with me. I didn't know why they felt the need to do so, but they'd almost succeeded in setting me up as the new Jin criminal. It was possible that the police continued to suspect me even now. Shogun was attempting to entrap me.
僕のメッセージは受け取ってくれた？目覚めるんだ。早く。
目覚めるんだ。早く。
でないと。もっとたくさんの人が。忘れないで。君は逃げちゃいけない。
You mustn't run away, unlike a certain Shinji. Thus, Shogun had spoken to me when he showed himself before me. I could only think of it as a form of intimidation, the equivalent of, I'm gonna kill you, so don't run away. And this time he'd taken the unprecedented action of uploading the video and making sure it was seen throughout Japan. Shogun had undoubtedly moved to the next step of his plan. I had been naive to think that maybe he'd stop targeting me. On the contrary, it would have been better to assume that he had at last begun to attack and plot against me in earnest. I was scared. The video had given me the shakes. Despite the fact that Shogun was, physically speaking, under a far worse handicap than me, he had killed 5 high schoolers without lifting a finger. If everything new gen related had been done by the same person, it meant that Shogun had enacted the brutal pregnant men, staking, and vampire cases with his diminutive body. Or maybe Yua had helped him. Yeah, he must have had some help. I can't imagine this wheelchair dude just being there and committing all the murders. Either way, I didn't have any confidence in my ability to protect myself against people capable of carrying out such horrific acts with ease. My terror of them, my rage against the unfairness of my being targeted, and the message of those eyes. Are those eyes? If I weren't careful, I'd start trembling. To suppress that, I would have to keep myself from relaxing for the time being. I constantly paid close heed to my surroundings and braced myself so I could flee if someone seemed to be approaching. I didn't know when Shogun or else Yua might suddenly appear before me. For that matter, I had no guarantee that Yua was the only one working under Shogun. Someone connected to Shogun might be among my classmates now indulging in carefree chatter all around me. Those eyes, do I think those eyes are? I think those eyes are of a person that we haven't been introduced to yet. I had to do everything in my power to avoid getting ambushed, to avoid being ambushed. Like yesterday at Ad Cafe, if not, I'd get killed the next time for sure. I had to get a D-sword, fast. Obtaining a D-sword was the only way to break free of my current situation. After listening to Ayase and Senna, and actually researching it online, I was all but certain of it. I'd be saved if I got my hands on a D-sword. Yesterday evening, I had been frantically collecting information on D-sword, while I kept an eye on the frenzy online, but I didn't meet with much success. I cradled my head, digging my fingers through my greasy hair. How the hell was I supposed to become the owner of a D-sword?
見つけなくちゃいけない。自分自身で。方法なんて、私にはわからない。
Isa had told me so, but it was asking too much to say that without giving me a single hint. I was becoming more and more impatient. Anxiety threatened to make my chest cave in. Harry, I had to hurry and find a D-sword, no matter what it took. A D-sword. You've got to find it. Everything will be over if you don't find it. I've got to find it before I become the next new-gen victim. But how was I supposed to find one? I didn't know of any good methods. Some kind of hint. A hint. I have to rush or I'll lose my chance to find it. Am I capable of finding it? This wasn't the time to be doing stuff like coming to school. My life and my ability to graduate. There was no need to weigh them against one another. Yet why was I sensing someone's approach? I raised my head in a flash and recoiled. Remy was there blinking at the suddenness of my movement. I'm the one who was surprised. Don't scare me like that. Released from my attention, I let out a sigh and flopped flat against my desk. As usual, Remy took a peek at my face. Flustered, I lowered my eyes. Was Remy on my side, or was she my enemy? Because she'd saved me once, my wariness towards her had faded considerably. However, on the other hand, I still hadn't resolved the suspicious points about her. What had been going on when I saw her covered in blood at the staking? We were supposed to have been friendly classmates since freshman year. But why was she simply missing from my memory? Remy tilted her head, looking troubled. I looked away from Remy. I couldn't ask her such things to her face. My nerves were utterly frayed by the time today's classes finally came to an end. Even during classes, I had ceaselessly and variously surveyed my surroundings, paying no attention to the classes themselves. I hadn't slept since yesterday, but the sheer tension of it kept me wide awake. School today had felt virtually endless, and its excessive length sent me into despair time and again. I wondered why one's sense of time could be so drastically affected by one's state of mind. They say that time flows at a fixed and constant rate, but maybe that's a lie. Your subjective point of view can change the speed of time. In fact, I had a hard time thinking of people's attempts to affix stand-alone values to periods of time like seconds and hours as anything but a plot to cover up the differences in subjectively perceived time, and thus make all of humanity recognize it the same way. And supposing the length of time changes based on your subjective perspective, if you reversed it, wouldn't that mean that you could actually control its length at will? That occurred to me because of what Senna said about controlling the free will of others. If you reversed it, huh?
生まれながらに目が不自由な人でも、目の前にある景色がちゃんと見えるようになる。ビデオカメラのような映像機器を介してな。
If you could change the picture from a video camera to electrical signals and send it to someone's brain, making them see it as a series of images, then the reverse could be changing that which you envision in your head to electrical signals and sending it to a videotaping device, thereby turning it back into an image. In fact, there was no reason that said recording device needed to be a video camera. For example, what would happen if you connected them to a hard disk recorder and showed them recordings of a nature program? What if, instead of a nature program, you showed them an anime? Come to think of it, anime was 2D. It was delusionary, but since a person who had been blind since birth would never actually have witnessed 3D scenery, if you showed them an anime and said, this is what the world looks like, wouldn't they come to believe that the 2D world itself was reality? That way, the person in question would perceive delusions as being reality, wouldn't they? Delusion. For example, let's save. So, which delusion do you want to experience first? The green one, the red one, or the neutral one? I'm giving you a brief period of time to discuss that in the chat. So, just as a reminder, we have the green delusions and the red delusions, which, when delusions are available, we see it here on the top. With those, you could say, floating dots. When I click on one of the floating dots, I trigger a delusion. If I don't click one of the floating dots, I don't trigger a delusion. So you have the choice between the green delusion or the red delusion. The red delusion usually ends up more, you could say, gory, whilst the green delusion usually is more humorous. So, okay, we will go for green first. That's a lot of kanji here. I'll have to put that through the translator. Just give me a sec. Just because of the kanji, I'll have to put it into the translator anyway, so. Green delusion trigger. Delusion. Whose delusion trigger is this delusion trigger? If person A put their imaginary visions into a hard disk recorder and transformed it to image data, then sent it to person B, wouldn't A's delusions turn into B's reality? Delusions turning into reality. Theoretically, it should be possible. Haha, am I some kind of genius? The magnificence of my idea thrilled me. Perhaps this itself was the way to obtain a D-sword. Hadn't Ayase called her D-sword a delusion? Oh, alright. Time to go home and check it out online. Moso starto. I left the classroom and headed for the school exit without a single sidelong glance. However, I didn't forget my custom of walking along the edge of the hallway while hanging my head and doing everything I could to avoid standing out. Since a little time had passed since the ending bell, most people who went straight home were already gone. Those students with club activities or cleaning duty remained behind. Somehow, schools give off a lonely, nostalgic feeling once a day's worth of classes have ended. This is true of both old-fashioned wooden school buildings and newer ones like Sume Academy. So, can I tell what's real and what isn't? At least as in the game, we have had this delusion animation. So we're hopefully within the delusion. But you know, maybe this life is just a delusion. Maybe we're living in the Matrix. Maybe the Matrix is running on Windows XP. That's why we keep forgetting stuff. Although, to be fair, I'd only been to wood-constructed school buildings in Eroge. As I walked through the corridor filled with slanting afternoon light, pondering that sort of useless stuff, I spotted a peculiar figure coming towards me. A girl was tottering along, carrying 2 huge cardboard boxes. The boxes hid her face from me. She probably couldn't see what was ahead of her either. She couldn't possibly have been more precarious. If I were in an aero game, a scenario like this would lead to me colliding with her and setting off a flag, guaranteed. I thought about giving it a shot, but it was a mere thought. Of course, and I didn't have any intention of actually trying it out. On the contrary, I stayed on my guard. Chances were strong that she might be an assassin to me sent by Shogun. Don't get involved. Watch out. I paid careful attention to every step she took. She drew still closer to me, swaying first to the right, then to the left. I, on the other hand, walked along the left side of the corridor. I waited until she tilted toward the right, then sped up my pace. By doing so, I managed to pass her safely. Hearing something drop, I cast my gaze downward without a second thought. Someone's student handbook had fallen. Without meaning to, I stopped. Did the cardboard girl dropped it? I thought hard as I contemplated the student handbook. Doubts rose at the back of my head. Why had it fallen now with this timing? It was too obvious. Almost as if someone were urging me to pick it up. A trap? I wondered if she'd dropped it on purpose. The cardboard box girl had used both arms to hold up her boxes. Neither of her hands had been free. If her student handbook had been kept in her skirt pocket, it would have been impossible for her to take it out and drop it on purpose. Except it wasn't as if I had actually seen where the handbook had fallen from in the first place. Maybe the cardboard box girl had been holding it from the start, carrying her cardboard boxes in such a way as to conceal it from me. Nothing was certain. It might not have been deliberate. It'd be normal to regard it as coincidence. Then I made my gaze follow the figure of the cardboard box girl. Or tried to.
Huh?
Right at that very instant, the cardboard box girl turned the corner and went out of sight. I'd only seen her from behind for a second. I didn't think she looked familiar. It felt like she'd had short hair. No, but it had also seemed long. I couldn't make a decisive statement either way. I hadn't seen her face either, of course. The cardboard boxes had hidden it as we passed one another. All that remained in the hallway were me and the student handbook. Maybe the common sense response would be to pick it up and take it to the faculty room, or chase after the cardboard box girl, but I hesitated to do either. As usual, Takumi, you're usually just an asshole. Takumi. Our protag is dumb. I looked around. I didn't see any other students. All I heard were a number of girls laughing merrily from somewhere far off. I didn't think this was a trap. The handbook's owner was already gone. How might the situation end up entrapping me? Could there be a microscopic bomb planted in the handbook? That was far too unrealistic. So surely nothing would happen if I picked it up here now. Right? Of course nothing was going to happen. I ought to use it to confirm who that girl was, just in case because she might be working for Shogun. I'd take a look at her name, class, and headshot, and leave the handbook itself back here. I'd take a pass on shouldering the hassle of having to deliver it to the person in question. After glancing around with even greater caution to make sure no one was in the area, I picked up the student handbook and casually opened it to the first page. Uppsala! So we cannot actually see who's on the photo. What's written on the CG is pretty clear. Whose eyes are those eyes? I hastily flung it away. What was that? An unidentifiable eeriness. It didn't so much freak me out as it made me feel sick. Malicious and blatant harassment aimed at me as an individual. Who? Who would do such a thing? The girl from before, obviously. That girl had been affiliated with Shogun after all. Of course she had. I'd only had a glimpse of the student handbook's contents, but the first page, which should have contained the owner's name, birth and date, class, and other information, had been utterly blacked out. Furthermore, the headshot photo that ought to be pasted there had been ripped away. It made me ill. I abruptly experienced nausea. Wanted to leave this place sooner rather than later. Covering my mouth, I went towards the stairs. By the time I blindly came out in the courtyard, I couldn't hold back my urge to vomit anymore. Surging stomach acid made the depths of my throat sting. Tears blurred my field of sight. It grew hard to breathe. The aftertaste of my bile in my mouth made me feel sick. It seemed like I was closer to the end of my psychological rope than I thought. Might also have been because I stayed up all night. I looked around ceaselessly as I wiped the edges of my mouth. No one was there. But the shadows and blind spots I normally wouldn't take notice of seemed dreadful to me now. I began to think that Yua and Shogun might be hiding somewhere. Once I made myself believe it, I lost the ability to take a single step away from this place. Obviously. Well, somebody save me. I wanted to cry. At the same time, the urge to vomit arose in me yet again. I didn't throw up this time around, but I had dry heaves over and over. It hurt so bad, more and more tears started flowing. Then someone softly began stroking my back. Frightened, I looked behind me.
大丈夫。
It was Rimi.
大丈夫だよ。
Those words weren't a question aimed at me. They were a gentle conclusion.
私はタクの味方だから。
She didn't grimace at the rotten stench of the filth I'd dredged up. She didn't show any form of indication of despising me, even when she saw my face covered in tears and nose drippings, with vomit stuck to the corners of my mouth. She smiled serenely, as though to reassure me. She drew close by my side, lightly stroking my back. Why? Before this and now, when I thought I wanted someone to save me, why did Rimi materialize before my eyes? Because Rimi was here with me now? I felt relief. I felt my burdens lighten. Before I knew it, I had begun divulging all my emotions, even though I was bad at talking about myself.
助けて。一人は怖いんだ。
Maybe this was why I'd come to school. Up until now, I thought I was better off alone. Even now, of course, I was frightened of talking to people. I had no self-confidence when it came to making contact with people. But being alone with, well, Shogun and you had hunted me down, made me feel far more insecure and scared and forlorn. I wanted someone to stay with me. They didn't have to be kind to me. I just wanted to be in place with other people.
一人は怖い。
だったら私が一緒にいてあげる。
Those words held no malice, nor any reluctance.
さすがに24時間ずっとは無理だけど。
Her shy gaze suddenly tilted up towards the sky. What was she looking at with such distant eyes?
朝一緒に学校行って、学校では休み時間にどうでもいいこと話して、お昼休みは一緒にご飯食べて、夕方一緒に帰って、帰るついでにたまにどこかのお店に寄ったりして、タクの部屋でちょっとだけおしゃべりして、それでまた明日ねって手を振って別れて。そんなのでいいなら、私、いくらでもしてあげるよ。そういうの、結構憧れなんだ。
That was almost like being boyfriend and girlfriend. I was stupefied. Was she talking seriously? Yeah, her face certainly seemed to say so.
どうしてどうしてそこまでしてくれるの？
それは。
There was definitely a flag standing here, right? It wouldn't be weird for her to say, because I love you in this situation, right? Not that I could think of a single reason why Rimi would fall for me. No, wait. This was Zhu Liang's trap. Something similar had happened in the past. You had fooled me, driving me back to the brink of despair. That's why I can't afford to expect too much. Start by envisioning the worst case scenario. Rimi, too, might be my...
石？
Be she? Without warning, she saluted me. The suddenness of her actions left me shaken, making me think in astonishment that maybe she was about to reveal her true nature. But her face still wore the same endlessly soft smile.
そんなの、友達だからに決まってるでしょ。私にしてみれば、タクを助けてあげるのは当然なの。どうしてとか、寂しいこと言わない。わかった？
うん。
If it were as a couple, I might have felt like my life had finally begun for real. But even if we were just friends, it made me incredibly happy. Having another person be nice to me. Having another person try to do something for my sake without seeking anything in return. I'd never known it would bring me such joy. It might be the first time I'd ever felt like this. And more than anything, she made me believe I wasn't alone. Rimi's existence had saved me. My nausea had finally settled down and I felt considerably better.
はい、使う？
What Rimi held out to me was a vermilion, floral-scented handkerchief. But I accepted it meekly. But I hesitated to use it.
汚しちゃっていいよ。タクにあげる。
ありがとう。
I felt bad about it, but I decided that I might as well accept her generosity. I wiped the edges of my bile-soiled mouth. It was the first time I received a present from a girl outside my family, although I wasn't sure whether or not I could call this a gift. Because I had felt as if I were all alone in the world, even a little thing like this induced the same gratitude in me as something far more precious. My happiness and relief threatened to make tears spill out again.
それじゃあ、帰ろっか。
Rimi asked me in a carefree voice.
一緒に。
Ishuni. Apparently, we'll leave school together. Her suggestion from before was already a done deal. Though I hadn't given her an answer yet, not that I had had any intention of refusing, I was frightened of being alone. I didn't want to be by myself. Right now, Rimi was the only person I could lean on. That said, I couldn't relax simply because Rimi was going to walk me home. I picked a different route from usual on my way back and proceeded cautiously, trembling all the while. Every shadow seemed to hold danger. I was tormented by the illusion that Yua Shogun might be around the corner each time I approached an intersection and my legs would go weak, halting my progress. At such times, Rimi would go ahead and scout out the road beyond the intersection, then turn back and nod at me.
大丈夫。誰もいないよ。
What a service. Dude, Takumi. That is a nice girl you're having there. I hope you treat her well. She is a rare kind. Relieved, I followed after her. Rimi went along with me without a single grimace.
ねえ、聞いていいかな？一体、何があったの？
I was a little torn over whether or not to tell her about it. If I told her that here, and if she too ended up being targeted by Shogun, it'd be my fault for getting her involved.
話したくないなら、無理に話さなくても。
いや、話すよ。
I'll talk. My mouth had already started moving. I definitely didn't want to get her caught up in it. But if I didn't explain anything, Rimi wouldn't understand the gravity of my position. For my own sake, I ultimately chose to close my eyes to the potential danger to Rimi. She'd been the one to say she'd stay with me, so it's not like I was doing anything wrong. The fact that Shogun was the new gen criminal, the fact that Yua was his underling, the fact that they were targeting me. What had happened in front of the 107 building? I summarized everything, stuttering all the while. When I spoke of how Shogun had appeared in front of me riding his wheelchair, Rimi made a sober face and lapsed into thought. I'd been thinking I wanted her to ask her about that incident, but this was the ideal opportunity to do so. So I will put a save point here and check what the other delusion is up to. Because we haven't tried the red one. Let's see where they merge into the same reality. Yes, load. So since little time had passed since the ending, but most people who went straight home were already gone. There were students with club activities of cleaning to remain behind. Somehow, schools give up a lonely, nostalgic feeling once a day's worth of classes have ended. This is the true of both old-fashioned wooden school buildings and newer ones like Suime. Okay. Either way, silence filled the school's interior. I walked hurriedly throughout the quiet, doing my best to prevent footsteps from making any noise. The long afternoon light pouring in through the windows was warm. Normally, I would hang my head as I walked. Already read that one. I looked straight ahead, keeping on my guard against any suspicious figures who might be lurking there. A sound. I heard a sound. What was this sound? I had the sense that I'd heard it somewhere before. Immediately after, something cut across the freshman corridor, and I could see a little ways in front of me. An empty wheelchair. The group dive video I had seen yesterday floated up at the back of my mind. My back went rigid, and I stopped in place. The wheelchair crossing the hallway vanished from my field of sight. Whoops! What happened? Silence returned. I caught my breath and stared in the direction of the sound had come from. What had it been? Why was there a wheelchair at school, not to mention one moving without anyone in it? That crash I'd heard in the end could have been the sound of the wheelchair falling down the stairs. Making such a huge sound meant it must be horribly broken now. I took a quick look around. The silence had the reverse effect of heightening my fear. At least I couldn't see a single moving thing from where I stood. But I sensed a gaze. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Could Shogun really be here? Had he come to this school? Why would he have come? To meet with you? To meet with me? I took a step back. In the same instant, I almost toppled over. Somehow I managed my balance. It was creepy. Was this a way to harass me? Why wouldn't he show himself? Why would it be such it would be so much more bearable if the culprit appeared before my eyes. I abruptly experienced nausea. I wanted to leave this place sooner rather than later. Covering my mouth, I turned back the way I'd come. So this is where it merges. Quick skip. I wonder if he was there, an old man in a wheelchair. There was so little confidence in her answer.
思い出して。大切なことだ。
But Rumi scrunched up her eyebrows as if she didn't want to say it.
そもそも、あの時、渋谷の駅前が無人だったなんてこと、なかったよ。
I do have to save here and pull up the old delusion because I want to see. I need to check something. Load the old. Finish save, yes.
いたかな？車椅子のおじいさんなんて。
大切な。
でも、
So, when I spoke of how Shogun had appeared in front of me, riding his wheelchair, Rimi made a sober face and lapsed into thought. I'd been thinking I wanted to ask her about that incident. This was the ideal opportunity to do so. I wonder if he was there, an old man in a wheelchair. There was no confidence in her answer. Try to remember, it's really important. Rimi scrunched up her eyebrows as if she didn't want to say it.
そもそも、あの時、渋谷の駅前が無人だったなんてこと、なかったよ。いつもと同じだった。
That was how it must have appeared to Rimi at the same time. If possible, I'd wanted her to agree with me, but Rimi and I, out of the two spectacles we viewed, whose was correct? Was I mistaken after all? Had that empty Shibuya been a delusion of mine? But that created a slight problem. The elderly wheelchair-bound man who had appeared in the depopulated Shibuya, Shogun, how was I supposed to explain him? If the depopulation had been delusionary, Shogun would have to be a delusion as well.
駅前って人が多いでしょ？だから車椅子の人がいてもなかなか気がつかないだろうし。要するに見てないってこと。ごめんね。役に立てなくて。
At the very least, Shogun wasn't a figment of my imagination. At first I thought he was a delusion, but my understanding of the situation had flipped 180 degrees upon the emergence of the group dive video. Shogun was real. Shogun existed. But maybe the empty Shibuya part of it had been imaginary. Even then, the area around the station had been overflowing with people. And I alone had viewed a different kind of scenery. How could that be?
ねえ、それよりお願いがあるんだけど、いい？
え？
Remy pressed her hands together in
CD
supplication.
を買いに行きたいんだ。せっかくここまで来てから、ちょっと寄っていきたいんだけど。いいかな？
Truthfully, I wanted to go home to my base this very instant. I'd come here taking the long way because I'd been considering the possibility that Yua and Shogun were lurking somewhere, not because I wanted to shop. Except if I turned her down here, it might damage Remy's mood, and she was the one who'd said she would be there for me. If I screwed up, she could get angry and go back to her by herself. That'd be problematic. I needed to have Remy with me. On my own, I wasn't even sure that I could take it back to my base. In the end, I found myself unable to refuse her. All I could do was haltingly tag along with her. Perhaps it would be ordinary to think that surely even someone like Yua wouldn't launch an attack on me with this many people around. But my fear that they were hiding somewhere nearby, blending in with the rest of the crowd, far surpassed that. I shrieked internally each time I came close to bumping shoulders with the people passing me by.
パトカーだ。
Remy's words gave me a start. I quickly hid behind her. Just as she did, 2 police cars were parked in the streets, and nearby them stood 3 uniformed officers. The police too were chasing me. I was obviously innocent, but the incompetent police couldn't grasp that. So they're protesting basically, which is what I'll be doing tomorrow. Protest against Article 13 in Cologne at 1 p.m. Cologne Neumarkt. If anyone is able to make it, I urge you to join the protest against Article 13 of the European Union Copyright Directive, because that is gonna change a lot of things for the internet as we know it, and they're gonna change it in a bad way. So were those policemen searching for me too? So I thought, but apparently that wasn't the case. Their lines of sight rested on the vast quantities of people who traversed the roads as though they owned it. Were those people protesters? They came equipped with various standard issue items, from banners to posters with messages on them to forehead banners. I bit my lip upon seeing a child tripping along, pulled by the hand of his parent with "Whose eyes are those eyes?" written messily on the marker on the front of his t-shirt. I have an idea.
何のデモだろうね。
There were a variety of marchers, young and old, male and female alike. I should write Sonome Dare no Me on my protest thingy. I still have, you could say, a place where I could put that. I need to do that. I had, they paraded solemnly along, but once in a while they'd cry out in unison. "Drive the demons out of Shibuya!"
悪魔？
Many of the protesters were inscribed with messages like, "Drive the demons away from our city! Protect Shibuya from terrorists!" This had to be a show of resistance against the New Gen incidents. There was no point in demonstrating about it. If you've got that much free time on your hands, find and kill Shogun. That way, all my memories will vanish.
タク、行こう。
Disinterested, Remy shifted her gaze away from the demonstrators and began walking toward the entrance to a CD shop. As soon as we came in the store, Remy went straight for the indie music corner. Unlike the J-pop music corner, there weren't many customers in the vicinity. Remy stopped in front of the F shelf and began searching for the CD she had in mind. But her shoulders soon sagged.
やっぱりないな。
An indie group whose name began with F. Could it be?
タクはファンタズムってバンドを知ってる？今話題になってるけど。
I think that's an interesting mistake in the localization. They say a band with F in the beginning, and then they spell phantasm with PH. Yeah, that's some consistency right here. As I guess, there was no way I would know. I'd been to one of their concerts and I owned their CD. Remy smiled ruefully when I nodded.
私、そういう情報は結構疎くて、最近になって知ったんだ。それで、友達に借りようかと思ったんだけど、なかなか手に入らないらしくて、誰も持ってないんだよ。だから、CD 買うしかないかなーって思って、ここ1週間ぐらいあちこち探してみたんだけど、どこも売り切れ中。次はいつ入るんだろう。
A new shipment.
僕、持ってる。
Remy's eyes went around.
持ってるって、CD？
You have it. Oh, you have it. You have it. You have the CD. I think you found a new friend right there, just because you have the CD. I nodded, and Dreamy started another delusion. Safe. Number 48. We're running out of safe spots soon. Yeah. We're running out of safe spots. So, which delusion shall we play first? The green one? Or the red one? Or nothing? I personally would go for the green one at the moment. Because I've lost faith in the red ones. Okay, no responses. We're going for the green one first. Placed her hands on my shoulders. Her sudden closeness flustered me. The sweet smell of shampoo that came floating from her hair tickled my nose, and I knew my face was getting flushed with heat. Just a second, my audio is having some issues. So... The sweet smell of shampoo that came floating from her hair tickled my nose, and I knew my face was getting flushed with heat.
ねえ、タク、取引しよう。
A deal?
その CD 貸してくれたら、見返りに私、
Ooh, a deal! She wore a terribly serious expression as she watched me. My breath caught in my throat. In return, she would do what? Delusion. Delusion. A classical delusion we have here, with warped view and stuff. Her cheeks blushing with a trace of embarrassment. Remy whispered to me as though she'd made up her mind.
私のこと好きにしていいよ。
Aww. When I comprehended her meaning, I lost my composure. I couldn't tell if she were joking or being serious. For the moment, I began to look away from her. But before I could, she...
しゃがんで。
What? Remy cast a brief glance at our surroundings, then pressed down on my shoulders. Perplexed, I obeyed her. Hugging my knees, I leaned up against the shelf of CDs. As I puzzled over her intentions, Remy crouched in front of me.
膝伸ばして。
So she wanted me to sit directly on the floor? I didn't want to act like that much like a delinquent, but Remy grasped my calves and forced my knees to unbend. I couldn't stop myself from sliding down, legs thrown out in front of me. Suddenly Remy straddled my legs. Remy laid her pointer finger against my lips. She was telling me to keep quiet, but doing this kind of thing in the middle of the store? Remy looked down at me bashfully as though she'd read my mind.
ここ、インディーズのコーナーって、お客さんあんまり来ないよね。こうしてしゃがんだら、周りから見えなくなっちゃう。
Really? Really? Remy's face came even closer to mine. Her breath tickled my cheek. A hot sigh. I was too captivated to look away from Remy's ardent eyes. Her gaze seemed to draw me in. Remy looked directly back at me. Still looking, she began moving her hands alone. Undoing the buttons on my blazer one by one.
何を
No, she isn't doing this. This is not an eroge. This is just a visual novel. Remy reached for my necktie without answering, pulling me toward her. As she loosened it, she moved down to undo my shirt buttons as well.
ねえ、人が来る。
そうだね。人が来たら、すごく、まずいよね。
Her slim hands, bellying her words, slipped past my bare chest and into my shirt. Her cool hand slid leisurely across my skin. A bewitching smile. I felt a pang in my chest at the sight of her expression. She was normally so bright and cheerful, she gave off little in the way of a sexual atmosphere.
タクの胸、ドキドキしてる。
ドキドキしてる。
君って、テラエロス。
テラエロス？
Oh crap, I blurted out exactly what I was thinking. That alone was not enough to unsettle
それっ
me.
て、どういう意味かな？教えてよ、
教えてよ、
タク。
タク。It means you're amazingly hot. The tips of Remy's fingers caressed the sides of my neck, crawling over my skin. It tickled and felt
私
amazing.
のこと好きにしたくなってきた。
Ooh, have you begun to want to have your way with me? Guided by instinct, I nodded vigorously.
じゃあ、
じゃあ、
ここでしちゃうか。
ooh. I doubted my ears. Do it here? Did that mean?
何を
Ah, that was. Oh, that was.
おーい。
I abruptly kept that back to myself. Rumi was waving her hand in front of my face. Eyebrows knitted in wonderment. I wasn't sitting on the floor and she wasn't straddling my legs. We were simply standing normally, facing one
ど
another.
うしたの？急に意識がどこかに飛んじゃってたみたいだけど。
なんでもない
落ち着け。
I left away from Rumi, turned my back on her, and took deep breaths. Ha ha! It had an arrow delusion. I was indeed the lowest of the low. I became quite disgusted with myself. No, it was also Rimi's fault for talking about repaying me. Any man would start imagining stuff if he heard such a suggestive, sexy line. Come to think of it, how did she intend to repay me after all?
その調子だと話聞いてなかったでしょう。
うん。
じゃあもう一回言うけど、私のお気に入り CD を貸すっていうので手を打ってくれないかな。
は
ねえねえ、いいでしょ？お願いします。この通り。
Aww. Well, there's reality for you. Speaking of which, I had fantasized about things ending up that way with Rimi anyway. I wasn't supposed to be interested in 3D girls. When I nodded right away, in answer to Rimi's suggestion, I struck a joyful victory pose. It was so funny looking that I found myself smiling despite the danger of my situation. Somehow we made it back to my base without any incident. So I'm gonna put a save point here. Next. And load the other delusion. Go read the red delusion. Load. Yes. Hallo, irgend so ein Typ. Her sudden closeness flustered me. The sweet smell of shampoo that came floating from her hair tickled my nose, and I knew my face was getting
ねえ、
flushed
タ
with
ク、
heat.
取引しよう。
A deal?
その CD 貸してくれたら、見返りに私、
She wore a terribly serious expression as she watched me. My breath caught in my throat. In return, she would do... What?
叩き割ってあげる。
I'll smash it for ya.
はい
Smash it? I felt blindsided. I thought Rimi wasn't the sort of girl to act like such a delinquent. Disregarding my confusion, Rimi went on talking even more seriously.
その CD を持ってる人は、呪われちゃうの。
That CD puts the curse on everyone whoever owns
タ
it.
ク、知らなかったでしょ。私の調べた情報によるとね、ニュージェネの被害者は、 みんなその CD を買った人なの。フェスの予言は CD を買った人にだけ当てはまるフェスの呪いなの。
No, it
ニュ
couldn't
ージェネ
be.
事件はフェスの仕業。急がないと。次に死ぬのはタクだよ。
Delusion has ended.
おーい、
Remy was waving hand.
どうしたの？
いや、なんでも。
Just gonna skip through. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that you weren't listening to me, right? Yeah.
じゃあもう一回言うけど、私のお気に入り CD を貸すっていうので、ね
は
えねえ、いいでしょ？お願いします。
あ、
Well, there's reality for ya. We're back into the main line of the story. When I nodded right away, in answer to Ruby's suggestion, she struck a joyful victory pose. It was so funny looking that I found myself smiling despite the danger of my situation. Somehow we made it back into my base without any incident. It was all thanks to Remy, of course. I owed her one. But I was a tad put off by how she instantly rejected my request to wait outside while I tidied up my room a little.
だって前に来た時に汚いっていうのはよーくわかったし、今さら片付けたって無駄だよ。かっこつけなくてもいいって、私とタクの中でしょ？ね？
What kind of pals? Remy was absent from my memory, and so I didn't really know. Once in a while I was startled by Remy's familiarity towards me. It wasn't at all unpleasant, but there were definite discrepancies in the sense of distance we felt between each other. For that matter, I wondered if Remy was serious about it being okay not to clean up my room. Even though convenience store lunch boxes I'd finished eating were scattered on the floor along with utensils, and arrogant boxes with sensationalistic illustrations on them were piled up on the bed, either Remy wasn't the sensitive sort or she didn't perceive me to be any kind of threat. Both prospects left me feeling kind of ambiguous. Appearing not to notice any of my distress, Remy sat on the sofa and earnestly looked down at the lyrics book that had been included with Phantasm's CD. I dropped heavily into my computer chair and made the tension leave my body. My nerves had worn thin from cowering and fear with the whole day, but maybe the reason I didn't feel all that exhausted was because Remy was here with me.
さて、どうしよっか。
Remy closed the lyrics book, like stretched grandly, and sent a smile my way. What to do, she'd ask. What was I supposed to do? Remy hadn't come here to hang out in the first place. Her original aim had been to borrow my CD. If she were going to do me the favor of staying here with me, how should I respond? Did I even have to do anything to begin with? If this were an arrogate, we'd jump right into an age scene, but... Crappity crap, hoppity hop. I'd better not think about that sort of thing right now. You'd better not think about that sort of thing right now, yeah. Would be counterproductive. Even under the best of circumstances, I would still feel very strained being alone in my room with a 3D girl. If I let my imagination run away with me unnecessarily, I'd become overly conscious of her and might do something weird to give myself away. Silence. Remy gazed vaguely at the manga volume scattered on the floor and the eroge stacked on the bed. So awkward. I had the sense that I ought to start a conversation, but I couldn't think of any potential topics except games or anime. I didn't think she would know much about them. Anyway, she'd said she'd be there for me. So maybe she would spare me and start talking first. I'd be in trouble if she expected me to take the conversational lead.
うん。
I didn't know how to handle 3D ghosts after all. I was grateful to her for staying with me, but I wouldn't be able to hold up under the pressure of this silence. The dimness of my room was also part of the issue. It gave me the hallucination that there was something lewd in the air between us. Unable to keep still, I turned to face my PC. There was something I had to look up. I thought of it earlier at school. Something that might be a hint about how to come into possession of a D-sword. Is it possible to change your imagined visions into actual images? Using the things Senna had told me about VR technology and how humans are electrical devices as a springboard, I began probing into the
何し
matter.
てるの？
Remy stood up and approached me. Should I explain? But how best to explain it to her? What a hassle.
ねえねえ、何してるか教えてよ。
When I didn't react, Remy started poking me in the back with her finger. I certainly couldn't ignore her, so could I?
君は、妄想が現実になるって信じられる。
As I entered search keywords into my browser, I spoke without looking over at Remy. In fact, it seemed more like I was addressing Sarah.
妄想が現実に？無理でしょ。もしそれができたら、人はとっくに万能になってるよ。
Omnipotent, huh? That very well might be the case. Delusions were a world where even the most unrealistic things became possible. If they became reality, it would mean making the unreal into something real.
それがどうしたの？
それに近いシステムがアメリカで特許あるんだ。
へえ、冗談でしょ。
I sensed Remy letting out an exasperated sigh behind me. In answer, I opened the aforementioned patent image I had received from ChäoS.
これは？
There really is a patent like that? United States patent brain imaging technique. What's the patent number? I would love to look that up.
特許の証拠写真。
本当に？
本当に? Leaning forward, Remy brought her face nearer to the monitor. She ended up peering into it from very close beside me.
わあ、私英語って苦手。すごいね、タク。英語読めるなんて。
So close. She was so near me, I could see the reflection of the monitor sparkling in her eyes. I was starting to get flurried again.
ねえねえ、どういうことか教えてよ。
Apparently it had drawn her interest. Doing my best not to think about how close she was, I focused on looking back and forth between my monitor and Saratan.
生まれながらに盲目の人でもビデオカメラみたいな映像機器を通すことでそこに映る景色が見えるようになるんだ。これ豆知識な。
ビデオカメラが目の代わりっていうこと？
そう。VR 技術って言うんだよ。
へえ。もし本当だったらすごいな。
I'm telling you, it's real. Sarah had said the tests were successful.
で、機械を使って目が見えるようになるのと、妄想が現実になるってどうつながるの？
This is a little bit like Serial Experiments Lane, the anime. Just that the technology of that creates the delusions is a different one. Or that creates, you could say, the imagery in your mind. The imagery that doesn't exist though. But it still exists because you have it, you could say, in your brain. And in so many brains at the same time that it becomes a reality.
私、頭悪いからよくわかんないや。
While explaining it to Remy, I was played around with likely sounding search keywords using trial and error, but I couldn't find the sort of page I'd been looking for. Even so, I persisted in inputting more new keywords.
映像機器に映る景色も脳内で思い浮かべた妄想も電気信号だから。逆に考えるんだ。脳内に電気信号を送るんじゃなくて、脳内から電気信号を送るって考えるんだ。
ほほう。
Ambiguous answers were all that came back to me. Maybe she didn't understand very well. It'd be a bother to explain in greater detail, so I gave up on talking about it. I concentrated instead on looking things up. Well, it wasn't like I needed her to understand. Because in the end, there was nothing more than my own deductions. Remy went on nodding and making noises of assent all on her own. I figured I would leave her be. I'd run a variety of searches, but I couldn't find any documents verifying my line of reasoning. Deciding to alter my approach a little, I began searching, emphasizing the patent-related aspect of it. I went to a foreign wiki, that site that ChäoS had sent me about. One all about American patents. I began searching to see if there were any patents similar to what I had in mind. As I jumped from link to link, I finally hit on an image similar in the atmosphere to the one ChäoS had sent me on to before. It appeared to be in a different patent document than the one about VR equipment. I swiftly skimmed the contents.
神経信号パルスを遠隔地からモニターし、それを映像及び音声として再現する装置と方法。
Was exactly what I'd been thinking of. I unthinkingly hoovered out of my chair.
これすごいぞ。
すごいの？何が？
簡単に言うと、これ、他人の思考を盗撮する技術だ。
思考を盗撮？
Ooh. In short, it meant you could use special machinery to spy on the sounds and images of people thought of in their heads. On top of that, it said the neural impulse monitoring could be performed by a satellite. That would make it possible to film the thoughts of everyone on the planet. To film the thoughts of everyone. How awesome would it be if you could film thoughts? And not just thoughts, you could film your dreams. You could have the craziest movies playing in your dreams at night, and you could have them recorded. How freaking awesome would that be? I would have you could say, an interesting library of dreams that I would definitely want to rewatch. Imagine being able to record your dreams. Like, during sleep.
本当にそんなことできるの？ SF 小説とかそういう類のものなんじゃ？
特許ってそのシステム自体が完全に仕上がってないと絶対に取得できないんだって。
So it had said when I looked up patents online.
だからこれもちゃんとシステムが確立されてるってことだよ。
This wasn't fiction. With enough money and technological power to conduct the system, it could be made into reality at any time. This was what Senna had told me.
ある意図的な情報を神経パルスへコンバートすることが可能なら。
This is the... You could say the certain information into neural pulses conversion also applied in Steins Gate in the time leap machine. Same thing.
人の五感すべて。さらには人の意志そのものもコントロールできるんじゃないか。
Or it's based on the same technology. As I've been told. Would it not also be possible to control all of people's five senses as well as their free will itself? There had been no source for that theory, so ultimately it amounted to no more than Senna's deductive reasoning. But a source had emerged for the theory I'd thought of. I wondered why such an amazing history remained totally unknown in Japan. Frankly, it seemed Nobel Prize worthy to me. I wanted to run a search for the words thought recording. What came up were the records of an American lawsuit.
また英文だ。頭痛くなってきそうだよ。
It was fairly long, so it looked like I'd have a pretty hard time reading it as well. The phrasing might get kind of weird, but I used an automatic translator to convert it to Japanese. The contents were, in sum, something along the lines of the following. Lawsuit brief. Plaintiff N.K. Rabin. Defendant, the United States Department of Defense, Central Intelligence Bureau. The plaintiff's complains. My thoughts have been spied on by means of a special device, recorded and broadcast into an unknown destination via satellite. These satellites have taken me hostage day and night without end. Numerous satellites constantly assault me. Tracking, observation, full body surveillance, biorhythmical attacks, oral attacks, physical debilitation. All those four, from 1 to 6, they're numbered. Since the latter part of December 1990, I've been forced to view man-made dreams, including both visual and oral components, as I sleep. So you can play back stuff in your sleep with this technology. Then you will be able to record dreams, according to this. From February to May 1992, I underwent biorhythmical assault, pain, torture, and harassment. Recognizing this as an attack against me, I began recording the following items and notes. Beginning in February 1992. Date, time, contents of particularly agonizing psychological attacks. Biorhythmical attacks were carried out against every part of my body. All those portions of my body were adjusted to best receive the unpleasantness, exhaustion, and suffering induced by pain, torture, and harassment. The main regions are listed below: chest, vision, lower abdomen, brain to interfere with my sleep, brain to show me artificial dreams.
思考監視、思考盗撮、しかも国家ぐるみ。マジ？
私これ知ってる。何年か前に映画で見た。
That's fiction. But the brief written here wasn't. There were two possibilities. The plaintiff was merely a mental patient. A mental patient. Well, the whole thing is a fact. It was difficult to discern the boundary between the two. It seemed as though it could be truthful considering the patent I'd seen earlier, but Senna and Ayase weren't mentally ill, especially Ayase at the time. So Davixa just sent me the patent in the chat. Google patent. Patent from the United States, US 3951134A. Inventor Robert G. Malak. Ooh. Ooh. Dude. What? Publication of this? Anticipate. Interesting. If you look at the last status of the last status of this patent, the thing changed today. Application status has expired. Lifetime. You could say I think you could say the application for the patent has expired. If it's the patent itself that has expired, we don't know. But this is interesting. I will keep an eye on that. I will read that at some point. Thank you for pointing that out. At the time, Ayase had become two people before my very eyes. I had witnessed the second when she became like that, but when I turned around, another Ayase was there. She had showed me how she pulled her D-sword out of thin air as well. It hadn't been an illusion or delusion. Once she showed me something like that, I couldn't say she was simply sick in the head anymore. Only Ayase had told me the following. This is the delusion you wished for. That mysterious phenomena really had been. Was it truly the result of what I had envisioned?
理想度は力を持つ人のみにしか映らない。君には私の剣が見えているでしょう。それが意味するのは一つだけ。
This is like ASMR. The power to project delusions into reality. Perhaps I possessed it. No. I was getting way ahead of myself there. It was way too much of a leap to assure that such a supernatural power existed simply because there was a system capable of scientifically replaying delusions on film.
見つけなくちゃいけない。自分自身で。
Oh, what a point for a delusion trigger to kick in. Holy. Which delusion trigger shall I choose? Green or red? At this point, I'm inclined to choose the red one. So, I'm gonna... For the chat and for the people watching, which delusion trigger would you love to see first? Wow. Right after getting dumped with No, not getting them. Right after receiving such information about the patents, and then delusion kicks in. This, for me, it sounds like a crucial delusion. The one that's gonna be interesting and long at this point. So I'm giving you a bit more time to think about which delusion trigger you want to read first. Meanwhile, I have to check some things on social media just very quickly. Okay, we will go for red first. You must find it. You yourself.
方法なんて私にはわからない。
Except what if the way to come into possession of a D-sword required precisely that sort of supernatural power? And if I bore such power within me, I might very well be worth a try. It, not I. Leaving Rima to gaze at the monitor, her eyebrows furrowed, I picked up the toy D-sword propped in a corner of my room. I stood in the center of the room and held it up at eye level, just like an ESO character. At this point, I started to feel rather comical. It was practically impossible for a scrawny Japanese guy like me to look cool carrying such a big sword. You only see it online a lot. You see it online a lot in pictures of cosplay events and such, but pretty much all of them are painful to look at. Now, I must be much the same in much the same state. Much the same state. This might be asking the impossible. Even as I thought that in the corner of my head, I figured I would give it a shot for the time being. I guess all I have to do is picture a sword in my head. When I thought of a sword, I inevitably ended up basing it on the ones that appear on ESO. Or else, maybe it would be better to go with a sword like the ones Sen and Ayase possess. Lovely, ominous, and sharp enough to sewer anything at a single touch. I couldn't envision the whole thing clearly. Because I was still a little lost. I couldn't decide whether to narrow it down to any ESO sword or one like Sen and Ayase swords. Between the two, it'd probably have to be the latter. Okay, I'll forge ahead, assuming the worst. I replayed the picture in my head, grit my molars, and clenched the sword in both hands. I prayed hard. Become real. Something soft and warm covered my hands as I gripped the sword. My heart jolted and I opened my eyes. Rimi, extending a A hand from where she stood beside me had seized my wrist. She hung her head, and her eyebrows were furrowed painfully, and her lips trembled faintly. She seemed strange, like a different person from when she had tilted her head upon hearing what I had to say about the patent. Besides, what did she mean by stop? Unpleasant memories grazed the back of my brain. Remy was my ally. She was supposed to be. But that didn't mean I'd solved every one of her mysteries. Did Remy know something about these swords? I swallowed consulsively and began timidly speaking to her.
タク、
Her gaze fixed in place, Remy opened her mouth. She spoke in a stifled voice, one empty of all emotion.
その件だけど、
Remy was my ally, right? She wouldn't betray me like you are, would she? Even if Remy betrayed me, I...
捨てた方がいいと思う。
どうして
My voice came close to cracking. Had I been right to think Remy knew something?
だって、
Finally shifting a line of sight, Remy met my gaze straight from the front. I hastily averted my eyes. After all, what you're saying...
だって、もう高校生だし。
Without warning, Remy's face broke into a mischievous smile. The suddenness of her transformation took the wind out of my sails.
そりゃ、男の子っていくつになってもそういうおもちゃが大好きなんだなーってのはなんとなくわかるけど。
I mean, I somewhat understood that boys love those kinds of toys no matter what they...
さすがにそんな大きなおもちゃ一人で部屋で振り回してるのはどうかと思うよ。それが許されるのは小学生までじゃない？でも、タクの個人的な趣味を私の前で披露してくれたってのはちょっと嬉しいかも。
What is... That disappointment. I was hoping for a grand illusion, and then something like this comes along.
私にだけ秘密を教えてくれたみたいで。
What's with that? I'd gotten freaked out for no reason.
そもそもそれ、どこで買ってきたの？高かったんじゃない？
1万円、渋谷の雑貨屋で。
へえ、1万円か。安いのか高いのかわからないけど。でもそんな大きなおもちゃが普通に売ってるんだね。私、そんな大きなのを直接見たのって初めて。その雑貨屋さんに売ってるっていうのは誰かに教えてもらったの？
She seemed unwilling to let the topic go. Was she interested in this sort of in this sort of sword? Maybe Remy was secretly into Grant's seeming make-believe stuff too. While teasing me a little for owning the sword, did she in truth desperately long for one of her own? No, that's so it's under...
自分で調べた。ネットで。
I'm gonna save this here, and look what the other delusion has to offer. Green.
方法なんて
Except, what if the way to come into possession of these sword required precisely that sort of unnatural power, supernatural power, found both such power within me. Might have been... Leaving Remy to gaze at the monitor, her eyebrows furrowed, I picked up the D-sword propped in the corner of my room. I stood in the center of the room and held it up at eye level, just like an ESO character. I closed my eyes. I attempted to picture a sword in my head. Of course. So I'm gonna skip what we've already read. I'm good at daydreaming. After all, I have all kinds of daydreams on a daily basis. If I wanted to, I could come up with a clear vision that included even the tiniest little details. But when I had somehow managed to solidify my mental image, I grit my molars and clenched the sword in both hands. Become real. 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 I prayed. I thought of solely one thing. I was currently gripping a true dice sword, not a knockoff. The real thing. I flexed all the muscles in my body. Come, show yourself to me before me. Please bring me salvation. Please protect me. I stealthily opened my eyes. The sword I held on high hadn't changed a bit. As before, it was a cheap-looking toy.
そりゃそうだよな。
There couldn't be any such thing as the evil eye-esque paranormal ability to turn delusions into reality. The idea of it was blatantly overblown. I was embarrassed that I had been on the verge of believing I had a power like that. I sighed and lowered the sword. That was when I sensed a gaze at my back, a prickling sensation at the back of my mind. Goose flesh sprang up all over me. That gaze again. I sensed a distinct presence. Someone was watching me. Don't look at me. I'm not gonna turn around like you could ever make me turn around. It wasn't merely a presence. I also heard a voice just now. To be more accurate, it was a sound like someone breathing, rather than using words. No way. I might have made an unbelievably stupid misunderstanding. I quietly turned around. Remy was staring at me. Oh, so that was it. It made sense that I'd picked up on a much more vivid presence than usual, which was natural enough since she'd actually been watching me, and it wasn't just me having the feeling of being watched. She sure misled me. Wait, had Remy seen the part where I brandished the sword, exposing my immature middle school student's mentality from start to finish? That would be pretty humiliating. Again, Devixa, I'm really bad with kanji. Gonna have to put that through the translator again. Genjutsu ni naru. But something about her was strange. Remy wrinkled her forehead as she stared in my direction without a single blink. On top of that, she wasn't looking at me, but rather at the toy of the D-sword I held. Why was she wearing such a grave expression? She seemed like a different person from when she had tilted her head upon hearing what I had to say about the patent. Unpleasant memories graced the back of my pain. At the back of my mind. Mind. Remy was my ally. She was supposed to be. But that didn't mean I'd solved every one of her mysteries. Did Remy know something about these swords? I saw consulsively and began timidly speaking to her.
Taku.
Her gaze fixed in one place. Remy opened her mouth. She spoke in a stifled voice, one empty of all
その
emotion.
件だけど。
Remy was my ally, right? She wouldn't betray me like you are, would she? Even if Remy betrayed me, I...
捨てた方が。
どうして？
My voice came close to cracking. Had I been right to think Remy knew something? Finally shifting her line of sight, Remy met my gaze straight from the front. I hastily averted my eyes. After all, what were you
だっ
saying?
て、もう高校生だし。
は？
Without warning, Remy's face broke into a mischievous smile. The suddenness of her transformation took the wind out of my sails.
そりゃ、男の子っていくつになってもそういうおもちゃが大好きなんだなってのはなんとなくわかるけど。
Etc., etc. We'll skip what we have read. But I have to wonder about swinging such a big toy around in your room on your own.
それが許されるのは小学生までじゃない？でも、タクの個人的な趣味を私の前で披露してくれたってのはちょっと嬉しいかも。
だってもう And then there's kanji. 小学生字。学装デジ。デシだ。What? La la la. Okay. I've messed this one up.
私にだけ秘密を教えてくれたみたいで。
あ、
What's with that? I'd gotten freaked out for no reason.
そもそもそれ、どこで買ってきたの
1万円。渋谷の雑貨屋で。
へえ、1万円か。安いのか高いのかわからないけど。でもそんな大きなおもちゃが普通に売ってるんだね。私、そんな大きなのを直接見たのって初めて。その雑貨屋さんに売ってるっていうのは誰かに教えてもらったの
？If my Japanese would be good enough, I'd be reading Noah. But my Japanese isn't yet at the level. She seemed unwilling to let the topic go. Was she interested in this sort of sword? Maybe Rima was secretly into grand-seeming make-believe stuff too. While teasing me a little for owning the sword, did she in truth desperately long for one of her own? No, that's so tsundere.
自分で調べた。ネットで。
ネットか。すごいな。なんでも情報が手に入るんだね。私は全然ダメ。パソコンなんてろくに使えないよ。で、その件って流行ってるの？
なんで？
なんで？
タクはどうしてそれを買おうと思ったのかなって。
You jumped into Noah soon after starting Japanese. I wanted to still plan to jump into robotics notes once I finish ChäoS Ed. Should I tell her the real reason? If she were going to be there for me from now on, maybe we would end up searching for a real D-sort together in the future, and it might be better to say it all here and now.
これは偽物だけど、本物があるんだ。
本物？
Oh yeah, there's still a ChäoS child I should be reading. Remy regarded me dubiously, tilting her head.
本物を持ってる人を僕知ってるんだ。2人いる。同じ学校の女子。
女子ね。女の子がこんなおもちゃを欲しがるかな？
本当なんだ。それにおもちゃじゃない。
あ、ごめん。
本物は光るんだ。それにすごい存在感で。僕、それを探してる。それさえ手に入れれば、僕は救われるんだ。
救われるって。
Rumi's face went blank as if she felt taken aback, but I was utterly in earnest. Besides, the D-Sword would be a powerful source of support when it came to defying Shogun.
それで、鉄、
I wanted to ask her to help me search for it. But when I thought about the possibility of her turning me down, I became scared and insecure and lost the ability to say anything at all. Lobbing the fake sword aside, I sat on the couch. I sighed and closed my eyes. Maybe Rima would offer to help me look for it of her own accord. If so, I'd give her my okay ASAP. Although it certainly wasn't realistic to expect that much. It was just that up until now, Rimi had emerged in front of me whenever I was in a pinch, as though she'd heard the voice of my heart, as though she were riding in on her white horse. So maybe.
とにかく、もし本物があったとしても、それこそ買ったりしちゃダメだよ。今タクが持ってるのはおもちゃだからいいけど、本物ってことは銃刀法違反になっちゃうんだから。
She instantly shattered my expectations. I'm disappointed in you, Rimi. Well, no doubt her reaction was quite outstanding from the point of view of your average Joe. These past few weeks, I had run into all kinds of unexplainable things and I had been on the brink of believing everything Ayase told me. But perhaps my only choice was to reach for the D-Sword on my own. After all,
それでタク、
I sensed Rimi sit down.
その本物の剣を持ってる女子って、誰かな？
Darekana? I heard her voice from close by. She was right beside me. The two of us, all alone in a dim, closed room. Moreover, we were sitting next to each other. It's a state of emergency. I've entered a state
タ
of
クに女子の知
emergency.
り合いが、私以外にいたなんて、ちょっとびっくり。もしかして、彼女？
Oh, can I sense some jealousy? I can sense jealousy in this line. Oh, so we really are going to end up talking about that kind of thing. Could it be that Rimi was tempting me? The only conversation that could possibly develop from this topic was about romance. And she'd say things to me that sounded rather like a confession, and there'd start to be some real nice vibes between us, and... No. I'm totally unprepared for this. I opened my eyes and frantically shook my head. Both Ayase and Sena were mysterious beings, and both of them were weirdos, but in a cute, eccentric way. I'd have mowed over them if they were 2D characters, but I couldn't mow over something three-dimensional. Especially Sena. Simply talking to her made me cower. She seemed like she wouldn't have any qualms about using violence. If possible, I wanted to avoid getting tangled up with her.
そっか。ちょっと、安心したかな。
え？
It's a flag! It's a delusion trigger. One more delusion trigger for today, and after having played both delusions, we'll finish. So this delusion trigger, yeah, we'll do both today. That's what I'm saying. I kind of want to go with the green one first, but what do you say? Like, all of you. Which one do you want to see first? The green one or the red one? You can vote now. Do you want the green delusion or the red delusion first? We're gonna play both, it's just a question of which one we're going for first. Vote now in the chat, just write into the chat which one you would love to experience first. Fragukita. Nice. Fragukita. Fragukita. Okay, we're going for green first. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. I unthinkingly froze in place. She had clearly said that on purpose, right? Was she seducing me here? Going by the sequential flow of this conversation, there was a huge chance that Remy had me totally wrapped around her little finger. How was I supposed to answer? Would it be okay if I said what she was expecting? That wouldn't feel bad at all, but I don't have enough self-confidence to go out with a living, breathing girl. Unsure what to do, I took a furtive look at Remy's expression. What? Hold on. How? Why? How? The inside of my head went pure white. My thoughts couldn't keep up with this abrupt and inconceivable turn of events. Oh yeah, my Johnson. Oh, Long Johnson. Oder on piano. I couldn't so much as move a single finger. Shock prevented my voice from coming out.
どうかした?
Musco. At some point, Remy had taken off her uniform's jacket. Not only that, but when I looked closer, she'd also taken off her skirt though. On top of that, because she was sitting with her knees up, while in such a provocative getup, it could also look like she was going commando. In other words, Remy, who cocked her head to one side as she looked at me from right beside me, was wearing only a little button-down shirt over her underwear. The first thing that popped into my head was a famous eroge about a home tutor. It was entitled Undressable Miss Amy Ree. The third chapter included a situation exactly the same as what I was experiencing in reality at this very moment. To think the kind of scenario that made people joke, what eroge is that from, what actually happened to me? Was this a delusion or an illusion or 100% reality? Real or imaginary? One certain thing that Remy was right in front of me, looking oh so sexy. Eyes kept involuntarily traveling to her chest. The front of her button-down shirt was undone, and I could see little glimpses from it from certain angles. Her pale pink bra. Your bust is so surprisingly big, Sakiata-san. No, stop. She'll think you're Lex if you ogle her. Don't look, you mustn't look. I dropped my gaze. And this time I ended up looking at her hips. She wasn't wearing a skirt. I could see, it's a panties, Sakiata-san. They were rather simple panties, but darling, all the same. Oh yes. Daring, all the same. Oh shit. My Johnson was starting to stand to attention. I had been picking up on this sweet scent she gave off for a while now. But how do I put it? There was a huge difference between her on one end and figures and 2D stuff on the other. When it came to the sense of touchability, her skin radiated. Was this the power of the third dimension? To be honest, it was too hot for me. My entire system of values was being unavoidably rewritten. Even though I'd never meant to have any interest in the third dimension, even though I'd only loved 2D characters, our current Remy possessed sufficient destructive powers to almost completely smash my dearly held convictions in one blow. A faintly, slightly exhilarated sounding breath. Her glossy, delicately quivering hair. The way her chest rose and fell minutely each time she inhaled. How she fitfully rubbed her thighs together as though yearning for something moistly. Glistening eyes, the pink tongue that peeped out from between her parted lips. I couldn't breathe. My head went empty. What was this? A sensation like what I felt when I entered ecchi scenes in eroge? An initially ardent, sorrowful feeling? I couldn't keep my control.
Taku.
Remy spoke to me in a sweet voice. I couldn't tear my eyes away from her limbs any longer. It was the first time I'd seen the body of a girl my age from so close up. Was Remy inviting me? Did she like me? In truth, I didn't care for this kind of shameless seduction. Romantic emotions really ought to be cultivated via a platonic relationship. So then she could bashfully muster all her courage and confess to me under the legendary tree on the day of our graduation. And when I said sure, she'd burst into tears of happiness, and we'd kiss. Was what I thought, but when she sat in front of me in this state, inviting me, who'd give a crap about that platonic whatever shit?
私、何か飲み物ある?
She is thirsty. Losing the ability to withstand my anguish, I stood up forcefully. A drink. Did I have something in the fridge? There was some Coke I'd been sipping on from, but I drank it straight from the bottle, so I couldn't exactly give it
ないなら買ってこようかな。コンビニって深センの駅前にあったよね。
I heard Remy stand up behind
ちょっ
me.
と行ってくる。
She was leaving. When I spun around flustered, Remy was about to open the door and depart in the same embarrassing state as before. You're going shopping at a convenience store with your panties totally exposed? How deviant. Was Remy an exhibitionist? Okay, this is where we know the delusion has ended.
露出狂
The voice I heard at my back made me literally go flying up and land on my ass. Remy, who should have just left, was standing there. Furthermore, she had all her clothes on. Eyes wide, she looked down at me.
びっくりした。急に大声出さないでよ。さっきから変だよ。一人でブツブツ言い出したかと思ったら、急に大声上げるし。
So, let's put a save point here. And have a look at the other delusion. Open load screen. Oh crap. I unthinkably froze in place. She had clearly said that on purpose, right? But was she seducing me there? Going by the sequential flow of this conversation, there was a huge chance that Remy... Okay. But I don't have... I took a furtive look, so just kind of... So here she's dressed. Interesting. But what is she gonna say? At some point, Remy's clothing had switched to something different. Though she'd been wearing her uniform up until just a second ago, she stealthily changed her clothes in the brief period when I had my eyes closed? No, of course not. My thoughts couldn't keep up with her sudden
どうかし
transformation.
た
Remy cocked her head. She didn't mention a thing about the fact that the clothes she was wearing had changed. What was going on? Did Remy have no awareness of it herself? Or was she pretending not to know? Trying not to stare too hard at her, I checked out her outfit. Were these her casual clothes? It was enormously refreshing to see her like this, since up till now I'd only seen her wear her uniform. On top, a denim jacket, on bottom a miniskirt. She wasn't wearing the thigh-high socks she'd had on before. In short, bare legs. Smooth-looking, sensual thighs. On the top of that, because she was sitting with her knees up, even though she was in a miniskirt, I can sort of see your panties, Sakihara-san. Rather, depending on the angle, it could also appear that she was going commando. My eyes kept involuntarily traveling toward the V-zone in her skirt. I made a frantic effort to hold back my lust, this manner of sitting. What popped into my head was the cover illustration of a famous moe eroge, the limited edition of Suetane, which had also been made into an anime. It had an illustration of the heroine sitting in the exact same pose as the way Remy was currently sitting. That illustration had been so moe to the point that I temporarily used it as my PC wallpaper. Reminder that the area between thigh-high socks and the beginning of the skirt is the so-called absolute territory in otaku fandom. Was this a delusion or an illusion or 100% real? 100% real.
うん
I concerned myself with the contents of her skirt. My Johnson started to stand to attention. I had been picking up on the sweet scent she gave off for a while now, but how do I put it? There was a huge difference between her on one hand and figures on and 2D stuff on the other when it came to the sense of touchability of her skin radiated. What was this power? Was this power of the third dimension my entire system of values is being unavoidably rewritten? Even though I'd never meant to have any interest in the third dimension, even though I'd only loved 2D characters, the current Remy possessed sufficient destructive power to almost completely smash my dearly held convictions in one blow.
ねえ、タク。
Demonstrating no perturbation at the fact that her clothes were different, Remy offered me an innocent smile.
私、喉乾いてきちゃった。何か飲み物ある？
The way things were going now, my ability to think logically would break soon, so I decided to take this as a spatty of good luck and stood up. And stood to go to the fridge. I opened the fridge and peeked inside. There was some Coke I'd been sipping from, but I drank it straight from the bottle, so I couldn't exactly give it to Remy.
ないなら買ってこようかな。コンビニって深センの駅前にあったよね。
I heard Remy stand up behind
ちょっと行
me.
ってくる。
あ、
She shot me a smile and left the room without awaiting my answer. Left behind by myself, I fell into thought. What was this phenomenon? Could it have been a delusion after all? Remy's outfit? The divided Ayases? By what mechanism were such delusions able to manifest in a way that made them feel real? Had I been the one to manifest them in the first place? Did I have the power or not? If I did, how could I come to use it? Or how could I get my hands on a D sword? There was still a mountain of problems before me, and I was at a loss for what to do.
ただいま。
Remy returned, though she stepped out of just a second ago. Furthermore, she wore her uniform. Had she performed a super fast costume change outside? What for?
私、財布持ってくの忘れてた。
Apparently, obvious to my bewilderment, Remy smiled ruefully as she took her wallet out of her bag.
ビシッ。それじゃあ、改めて買ってくるね。
And without a single reference to her clothing, she left for the second time. I pressed my fingers to my temples and unthinkingly let out a groan. Somebody explain this strange phenomenon to me. While Remy went out shopping, I faced my PC thinking I would look for more detailed information on the patent and thought recording. Save screen. I'm gonna put a save here. I think we have missed something in the previous delusion, to be honest. I'm just gonna reload the old delusion.
どうかしたの？
Could it be the fact that the area Remy I'd seen was a delusion? Area Remy felt amazingly real. So then I hadn't touched her, merely looking at the... Well, back to the green delusion, by the way. I'm gonna read the neutral delusion after I found, you could say, the point where those delusions join into one reality. Merely looking at her hand had conveyed the sense that her skin would be soft and resilient if I touched it. And what the hell am I saying? What was wrong with me today?
ねえ、タク。
Did she think less of me? Did she think less of me now? What would I do if I'd fallen out of her good graces? If Remy weren't with me, I wouldn't be able to go outside by myself anymore.
何か飲み物ある？
She'd said it in a markedly sexy tone before, but this time she'd sounded 100% normal. I reflexively gave a little shake of my head. Seeing this, Remy poked herself in the temple with her pointer finger and plucked her lips as though she'd lapsed into
ない
thought.
なら買ってこようかな。コンビニって深センの駅前にあったよね。ちょっと行ってくる。
So she's heading out. It may have been an illusion after all. She left me. It left me feeling a little complicated. Both let me down in relief, but Error-me, the divided ISS. By what mechanism was such delusion able to manifest in a way that they felt real? Had I been the one to manifest them in the first place? Did I have the power or not? Okay, here we have, let's say, where it merged. Let's go into the delusion again. To the trigger, and don't choose anything. So now she's sitting there with in her school uniform. Hey, that way of sitting is practically criminal. Because she was sitting with her knees up, even though she was in such a short skirt. I can sort of see her panties, Sakihara-san. Rather, depending on the angle. It could also appear that she was going to commando. Nice kept. It's so basically the lines are the same as in the red delusion. Okay, here it changes up. The limited edition of Suit Sister, which had also been made into an anime, had an illustration of the heroine sitting in the exact same pose where the Rimi was currently sitting. The illustration had been so moe, to the point that I temporarily used it as my PC wallpaper.
Hi!
Damn, I was getting flurried. Come on, a 3D girl was sitting right next to me, gazing at me, head tilted, all but hugging her knees. If she kept acting that cute, I'd moe myself to death, even though she wasn't 2D, belying my libido-driven thoughts. The words Rimi gave voice to where?
タクは、自分の未来を考えたことある？例えば、人を含めてすべての生き物は生きてるだけで何かを傷つけてるんだよ。
Somehow it looked as though she were brooding. What did she want to say?
わかる？
だから
だからね。無理しないでいいからね。
Huh? Did she mean I didn't have to force myself to go to school? Or that I should carry out a healthier lifestyle without going on impossibly long ESL marathons? Or was she inviting me, suggesting that she wouldn't mind if I surrendered to my lust, stopping suppressing it with my reason, and pounced on her? Not the latter, that's for sure. Rimi took a big stretch, then stood up energetically. The hem of her skirt fluttered at my eye.
私、喉乾いてきちゃった。何か飲み物。
So the whole I'm thirsty thing.
ないなら買ってこようかな。コンビニって深センの駅前にあったよね。
It was nerve-wracking indeed to be all alone with a girl. On top of that, Rimi may or not have been aware of it. No, she probably wasn't, but once in a while, she did things that made my heart hammer. Sniff, sniff. I drank in the scent of the air in the room. I felt like faint traces of something floral lingered there. It was a girl's scent, Rimi's scent. I sucked it in. Flopping into my chair, I cradled my head at my own vulgarity. I was supposed to be quaking in fear of Shogun and Yua, but I'd gone floating up into the clouds. While Rimi went out shopping, I faced my PC drinking, thinking I would look for more detailed information on the pattern of and thought recording. So, this is our last save point for today. I'm gonna have to think of something to do with old save points. I'm gonna have to overwrite old save points in the within the next stream. So it's 12 past midnight over here. Thank you for watching. Please consider following me on Twitch so you will be notified when I start my next stream. Tomorrow I will be in Cologne for a protest against Article 13 of the European Copyright Directive. So I'm probably not gonna be streaming tomorrow. I might be in Cologne for a while until like late evening, depends. I highly recommend you try and convince your politicians to stop Article 13 of the European Copyright Directive, because it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good for our platforms like YouTube and others, because they will effectively force YouTube and other platforms to use filters to filter out copyrighted materials. But there's more to that. There are a lot of more details. Just read into it. Please read into it. Make up your own mind. And if you don't agree with the reforms, go protest. Thank you for your time and good night.